Welcome to the Festival of Storytellers.
I thank everybody that's involved with this process because we know writers need readers and writers need publishers.
Experience is not about the publisher, it is about us, the authors.
Hello, everyone. Love that introduction and welcome to the Festival of Storytellers, where Reader's Magnet help us to get our stories out to the world. My name is Ebony Wallace, and I am the author of Even Birds Get Tired of Flying. And so welcome to my author's booth. If you want to know any information about the book, you can look down below. And for those of you who are new and you have not yet registered, okay, you have not yet registered for this event, we still have this week where not only can you see myself, but you can see a ton of amazing other authors. All you would need to do is to join us at www.festivalofstorytellers.com. If you look at the scrolling banner below, it's free to join. It's the world's biggest virtual book fair. And I hope you join us there so that you can catch us in these author booths where our information is below. My book is Even Birds Get Tired of Flying, and it looks like this, and you can grab it on Amazon. It's purple, and this book says walk until you're able to fly. So for those of you who are in transition, for those of you who are coming from one stage of life to another, the book just walks you through lessons of, okay, I may not be flying in this season, I may be walking. How do I cope with that? Or how do I reassure myself, encourage myself that I'm still making progress, even though it doesn't look like it did last year, or it doesn't look like it did 5 or 10 years ago. So this book is a tool that's set up as a devotional where you guys can kind of come in, and it also has tools to help you, like probing questions for you. Good morning, everyone. Hi, Ivo. I hope I'm saying that right. Ivo, Bugsy. Good to see you again, too, as well. I love when you guys join it. You really encourage me to come on this thing with some high energy because I know you guys out there are waiting for our topic. And so if you check inside of our box, today's topic is check yourself. Today's topic is check yourself. So, I like to do a little bit of reading first before we go into it. So we understand that growth requires movement and stagnation requires nothing. So if we are one of those people who allow ourselves to stay in a place where we're producing nothing and we become stagnant, we have to place ourselves to be able to move forward and grow. How do we do that? We change our thoughts, we change our behavior. We understand that. And what we don't want to do is take ourselves back to places that took us years to get out of, okay? It took us months to get out of. How do I safeguard against that? I don't wallow in self-pity. Okay, so that's one of our first tips. I want to check myself. I want to make sure that I'm not wallowing in self-pity. What does that mean? Self-pity is one of those things where the compassion that I should be bestowing upon others, I'm using it on myself. I'm using excuses. You know, one of the worst excuses is a good excuse. Those of you out there, you know, you love those nuggets. One of the worst excuses is a good excuse. And so if we wallow in self-pity, we start to feel sorry for ourselves for so long, it begins to put us in a place of stagnation where we can't grow. Another thing is to really check yourself on regurgitating past experiences that were harmful or hurtful. If you continue to stay there, it continues to chain you back. Also, make sure we don't diminish victimhood, okay? Because we've all been victims of something. But what we want to do is have healthy ways to cope with them, whether it's writing, whether it's journaling, whether it's running, whether it's picking up a new hobby, whether it's talking to a friend, whether it's talking to a therapist, okay? Allowing us to heal from these experiences so they don't have the opportunity to change us into something that we don't want to be going forward. It doesn't matter if we were something for 10 years or all of our childhood. We can choose today to not go forward in trains of thought that hinder and harm us and behaviors that hinder and harm us. We can choose today not to do that, okay? So let's perform a self-check. So today is check yourself. Hi, Bob. Good afternoon. So our self-check looks like this. First thing I want us to do is when we feel like we're in these heightened situations, right? These pressurized situations, I want you to ask yourself, how did I perceive and interpret the situation? How did I react? And what was my conduct? Okay, so we want to hold ourselves accountable, okay, because that's what grown-ups do. We hold ourselves accountable. So how did I perceive and interpret the situation? So someone is said something rude to me that I took as being rude. So, you know, it caused me to become offended. And now that I'm offended, I begin to return that energy onto them. And I become rude and angry. And then 2 hours later, I find out that the person was frustrated because they just got in a car accident. They got bad news and they were being triggered, but because I didn't de-escalate, I escalated. Now I see my role in the situation. So sometimes when things are happening real time, and it's hard when it's real time, because then you have a split second to choose. Am I going to choose to escalate this situation or de-escalate this situation? Okay. Because what I don't want to ask someone is what's wrong with you. I want to ask, okay, well, how can I help them? Okay, this is usually not in their normal range of behavior. Let me not add fuel to the fire. Let me be a listening ear. Let me choose to be proactive and not reactive to what they're saying, okay? Because they're acting out of some type of pain that has nothing to do with me because I just showed up, okay? Hi, thank you guys for joining the booth. So I want you to understand that when you're in real time, you have two choices, and that is to escalate or de-escalate. Okay, so that means that you can take the situation, pour fire on it, and it goes off the chain. Somebody cut you off in traffic. Real world example. I'm very practical. They cut you off in traffic. You have a split second to determine, am I going to escalate this or de-escalate it? All right. So am I going to cuss these people out, run up beside them, roll the windows down, get into a whole altercation? Like, am I going to escalate it and make it worse? Or am I going to choose to say, you know what? Maybe they're rushing. You can have the road, sir. I want to be safe. I'm going to de-escalate this situation. I don't know. I'm assuming that, you know, it's something bad. They may be, you know, have a pregnant wife in the car and she's going into labor. I have no clue. But whatever the case is I can't control others, but I can control myself. That's why we're doing this self-check. How did I perceive and interpret the situation? How did I react? And what was your conduct? Usually when people come into the office, when I would have kids come into the office and they'll tell me, they did this, they did this, they did this. They made me mad, miss. Miss, they made me mad. I wouldn't have did it. They made me mad. And so I always tell them that's what they did, but how did you respond? Okay? Because if someone can make you mad, then someone has power over you. If they have the ability to take you out of your peaceful state and make you mad, then that means they have power over you. So, as a mature adult, we don't allow people to make us mad. And if they do, we then have a choice. And the choice is, are we going to escalate or are we going to de escalate? What are we going to choose to do? Next, do you listen to others when they're shining light on your undesirable behavior? That's a tough one, y'all. I struggle with this with a lot of people because, I'm not nasty, but I'm firm. I'm firm. And I may have to shine some light on this undesirable behavior. Now it's up to the person that's receiving it, whether or not they're going to listen to me. I may say, hey, come here, let me talk to you. Yeah, I saw how you handled that with them. It was a little bit, rough. Maybe you should try this or check in on that person because they didn't say anything back, but I saw their body language and they didn't take that well. So how do you respond? Hey, good afternoon, Chloe. How do you respond when others are shining light on your undesirable behavior? Now, this is something because sometimes your kids may be the one doing it. Your teenager may say, hey, mom, dad, the road rage is coming out. Control it, Hi, Paul. Do you listen when others are trying to hold you accountable? A lot of times people say, well, people don't tell me the truth or people don't tell me anything or I would like to be held accountable. However, and I tell everybody the truth, I just keep it real. And I say, well, have you thought about people have tried to tell you and because you didn't listen, now they've become silent. And that'll shift you because a lot of times we'll say, I don't have anyone in my life like you. I don't have anyone shining like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? I didn't know I was doing something wrong. I don't have anyone to help me be more emotionally intelligent. However, I submit to you, could it be that there have been people that they've tried to talk to you, but they can't get a word in edgewise? Or they've tried to talk to you, but you ignore them and you don't listen. So what happens is when someone is trying, eventually they stop and they go silent and they just let you jump off the cliff and be crazy. So am I being safe enough that if somebody has something that they need to tell me, that they feel that they can come to me without me exploding on them, without me escalating the situation, without me flipping it on them, gaslighting and say, well, you do this too. Well, let's talk about what you do. And so when you are a person who always responds in defense, the people who are sent by God to help you, they'll stop helping you because they're like, I wanted to be that person, but every time I go in, you set me on fire. And people don't want to be set on fire. And they're trying to tell you, listen, you would be better if, you had a website, or you would be better if you took speaking classes, or you would be better, I love your ideas, but maybe you should get a professional coach. I love that you're doing this, but maybe you should get a personal trainer, and you can't hear that because all you hear is the attack. All right. But you don't hear how they see you going to the next level with these things. Let's go to the next self-check question. Are you still making excuses for your behavior so that you can play the victim? I found that there are some adults, they like their victimhood because it gets them heard. And they feel like the celebrities, bad publicity is good publicity. Because if I don't have this thing, if you take this away from me, then what do I talk about? What is my relevance? Because they've been attached to their victimhood so long, that becomes their narrative. It becomes a part of their story. And when you're dealing with people like this, they will always make excuses for their behavior. And they'll always say, well, when I was a child, I didn't have a dad growing up. Well, I'm like this because when I went to school, nobody wanted to teach me. So I dropped out. So, that was the school's problem. Or, everything is an excuse on something else because they have formulated their identity around the excuse in the victimhood. Because if I get free, then I have to create a new identity around this freedom. I can no longer use my victimhood as a crutch. Okay, let's go to our next self-check question. Happy y'all rolling with me today. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Are you choosing to be happy or making everyone else around you miserable? Ooh, Chad. I know y'all just thought of 3 people in y'all head when I said that. Are you choosing to be happy or are you making everybody around you miserable? Everybody walks on eggshells around you. All it takes is one thing, and it can be something small. It can be something so small, like the eggs got cracked on the way home. And you're like, I knew you shouldn't have rolled over the bump. Now the eggs are cracked. Now it's setting everybody off. Okay, JB says, how do you define happiness? Now, happiness is subjective. Okay, so happiness is going to look different for everyone else. But when a person is happy, they should have an element of peace. They should have an element of joy, and they should have an element of satiety where they are content in where they are. So I really do believe that happiness is born from this place of, even if I want to do something else, I am content in me and where I am, and it's not causing others to stumble or fall. Okay. So you know what I'm saying? Like, there may be times that I'm not exuberant, because sometimes people think that happiness always has to be this lively expression, right? This, like, I'm happy because, I'm on a $20,000 vacation, or I just got a brand new Mercedes Benz, so I'm happy. So yeah, those are major events that call for exuberance. But in your everyday life, when you learn how to be content and be grateful and practice gratefulness, I tell people all the time, if you learn how to practice gratefulness, you'll enter into content spaces that lead to happiness. So yeah, my condition didn't change, but my gratefulness did, JP. So what do I mean by that? All right, I still may be driving the same car. You know what I'm saying? My legs still may be broken, right? I still may be underpaid at my job, but because I've entered into gratefulness and said, you know what? For now, I am content in this until I move into my next. It leads me into a space of this content, grateful happiness. Okay. So when I view happiness, I don't view it as this everlasting pursuit of this. Oh, I can't be happy until I climb Mount Everest. Oh, I can't be happy until I get married. Or, oh, I can't be happy until I have children, or I have 6 figures saved in my bank account with this amount liquid and this amount over here in investments. If I'm always waiting for tomorrow to be happy, I will never capture my portion of it. And I have to understand that it's subjective. So what makes me happy may not make someone else happy. What makes me happy may be able to, sit down by the lake and read a book. You know what I'm saying? That might make me happy, and someone else may be happy in a room full of 500 friends with a DJ turned up to the max. So it's the place where you're content, and how you find that is from a place of internal gratefulness. Timothy just says staying content is very difficult skill to learn. Important nonetheless. Yes, staying content is very difficult because I stay content by understanding. Timothy, this may help you. I stay content by understanding that nothing is permanent and it will change, right? So even when I'm at my top happiness, I understand that I may not always be at this high because, I just graduated with this degree. So like, this is an ultimate high. And I understand that, okay, when I go back to my everyday life where I'm dropping the kids off to school and I'm doing this, I'm still happy in that, right? Because I'm playing my role for the next generation. And I'm grateful, that I have kids to drop off, that I have a son that I can take to baseball practice, even though clay is all in the back of my car and baseball is mega expensive. And I'm like, I find the gratefulness in that space. So being content is hard to do, but it's not impossible. Okay. Because I lose comparison in the place of content. Okay, Timothy, that may help. I lose comparison in the place of contentment, right? If I have a 1-bedroom apartment and it's enough for me, I can't compare that to my friend who has a 5-bedroom and say, well, I'm not enough. I can't be happy because I have this 1-bedroom and she has a 5-bedroom. Or, I remember 20 years as a teacher. I mean, like, I was making $30,000 a year for many years. with multiple college degrees, $30,000, $40,000. And my friends were coming out with less experience than me, less degrees than me, and they were making six figures out the gate. But I was doing something that I felt compelled and called to do. So in that space, even though the money wasn't there, I found contentment and gratitude there, which allowed me to be happy in that space, because in true contentment, I'm not comparing myself. Right. So, I had a lot of those friends who had those six figures, but they didn't love their job. I love seeing my kids every day. I couldn't wait to see them. I couldn't wait to see them come in, not being able to read. And by January, they're all being able to read. That gave me such an internal contentment and gratitude that allowed me to be able to say what I'm doing is making a difference. So making a difference is a part of my happiness, whereas making money could be a lever for someone else. Okay. So happiness is subjective. Hopefully I answered that. Ivan said, what should I prioritize my own happiness or for the ones that are important in my life? Right. You have to have balance with that, Ivan. Okay. So we hear self-care all the time, right? You should have self-care, right? And we have a lot of narratives, especially in today's society, that are built around me and selfishness, right? Because like a lot of people's core values are just prioritizing themselves and forget about everybody else. But like, that our country wasn't built on that. Like that's, we cannot evade or run away from community, because community is important, right? When things happen, we need people who are willing to say, I am willing to sacrifice maybe in these areas because I'm called to this, or for my family, right? Because it is important that, yes, it's important that, I don't know, how can I say it? Yes, it may be important that I do self-care items, go get massages, go get my hair done, go do all these things. But if something comes up and I have to prioritize that time for someone else, those are things that I could potentially reschedule. But if my cousin is, say, having a graduation that happens once in a lifetime, maybe I choose to reschedule my massage, because that's something that's not only going to bring me joy, but it's also going to give joy to my cousin, right? Because other people matter. Like, we're here to share our stories, to share our lives with other people, how they feel matter. And as we build others, we're building ourselves. Like, I stand before you today, but I look like I'm just one Ebony, right? But I stand as one, but it's really 1,000 behind me. So many people poured into me. So many people told me not to give up when I wanted to give up. So many people gave me things that I couldn't give myself when I was struggling. So I honor them. And when I stand and when I speak, you're not just hearing me speak, you're hearing the wisdom of the people who came before me, who took the time to talk to me, to correct me, to hold me accountable when I was doing things that was a little off the chain. So we cannot negate our responsibility to community and to others just to protect ourselves. We have to be brave. And when you're brave, you say that there's enough of me to go around that can handle me and the people around me. Okay. And how do we do that? In small steps. Okay, the past can only ever be an explanation, not a justification. Oh, Julia, honey, that sounds like it need to be in the book. Yes, when I look back on my past, I cannot be a perpetual victim. And trust me, guys, I have had so many things happen in my life. I could claim the victim card and probably get a Pulitzer Prize for like the victim card, but I choose not to stay there because there's no power there. Right, JP. Accepting that change is the only constant. You find gratefulness in that, and you can find a bit of your contentment, which will lead you to a place of, you know what, I'm good. If I never have all those things. I know it's the American dream, but who dream was that? That might not be my dream. I might dream of traveling to like every country. Betty just said people are very keen on the idea of staying relevant. Yes. People want to stay relevant, so they're willing to do anything to get to the top, or say anything to create crazy sound bites so that people can grab them. But I'm telling you something, people are smarter than you think, and you can be a person that wants to stay relevant, but when you're just staying relevant for relevance sake, you become very hollow. Your sound doesn't have depth. So what happens is people will be attracted to you, but they won't stay with you because you won't be able to give them what you ran past in the process because you wanted to stay relevant. You don't have to stay relevant when you've gone through the process. You don't have to stay relevant when you've lived the life. You don't have to stay relevant when you've overcome, because out of your belly and out of your experiences, you'll be able to pour. Okay. I didn't ask for this platform to be relevant, right? I just understand that I've overcome some things and I'm at a place in my life where I never skip the process and I can share that with others. So yeah, people want to be relevant, but trust me, people who are really wise, they can see right through the shallow. You can tell the weighty people from the shallow people. I can tell when you're saying a lot, but you're saying nothing every time. Saying a lot and saying nothing. We have a lot of people like that, but you don't have to follow them. Find the ones who have meat for eating. Okay, so Timothy, community is always important and it's something we are slowly losing. Yes, we are. We are losing it because we are in a selfie generation. We are in a selfie time and, forget people. They hurt you, cut them off. We just leave everybody, run for the hills, go in a silo. We are created for community because you have something I don't have. You can reach people that'll never listen to me. But if we share, we all can have things in common. If we share our ideas, if we share our thoughts, if we share our resources, we won't have to be out here struggling as bad because we have our brothers and sisters to help us. Okay. I'm so grateful for strangers who helped me. I'm so grateful for people who are like, you know what? It's something about you. I want to help you out. And I'm like, thanks. I got these 2 kids. You know what I'm saying? I need to take one over here. I need to do one over here. I feel like I need to multiply myself. I'm trying to go to school. I'm trying to do this. And somebody was just like, I just want to help. I'm grateful for the people who wanted to help when I needed help. And I'm thankful that I allowed them to. How many times have people have wanted to love you, help you, but you didn't let them because you were suspicious? Sometimes God just may be sending you a rescue pack and you have to just be willing to say, okay, I'm going to go with it. I'm going to monitor it. But let's see how this help does. Maybe this person can help me. And I do need help. And the help not going to fall out of the sky. Usually help is going to be in the form of a person. Okay? Help and hurt. But you got to take a chance on it. You got to take a chance on it. And if it becomes something that hurts you, then you can dismiss it. But it could be something that propels you to your next. All right? Another one I have is, are you choosing... this is a good one, y'all. Are you arguing for your limitations? That's in the book on page 25. Are you arguing for your limitations? I've had people that I've tried to help and I couldn't get anywhere because every time I came with something, they were arguing for their limitation. But you don't know my life. But you don't know what I went through. But you don't know how I had to do this. And I was just like, oh, okay, slow down. I was like, okay, I understand that that's a limitation and it's hard for you. But why are you arguing for the limitation? Don't argue for the limitation. Let's argue for your victory. Let's argue for your best self. Let's argue for the other side. Identify your needs and attend to them. Forgive yourself and forgive others. And the number one on the self-check is be honest with yourself. Okay? Restoration will be waiting for you. And I'm praying that you can get to this space where you can be your very best self. Okay. So we want to keep walking. All right, guys, we're coming down to our last 2 minutes. So those of you that our time goes here real quick. That's why I always tell them, don't leave the questions for the end. Let them put the questions up because the time goes fast in this author's booth. So if you guys have any questions that you want to drop in, you can do so while we have our last 2 minutes on here. And our topic is just kind of like reflecting and kind of checking ourselves, making sure that we're not arguing for our limitations, that we're not wallowing in self-pity, that we're not regurgitating past experiences or playing the victim because it gets us some attention. Okay. So in education, we call it attention-seeking behavior. And we understand that there are some kids, they throw tantrums, not because they're bad, but it's attention-seeking behavior. They may throw a ball and hit you with it because they want to get your attention, okay? So we don't want to be adults exhibiting these immature behaviors because we want attention. So how do we get that attention healthily, right? We learn how to communicate and we say, okay, you know what? I need to connect more. I want to talk to somebody. I want to take someone out to lunch. I need somebody to hear me. I need to be able to breathe on these thoughts. And when you begin to do that, you communicate healthily and you don't have tantrums or exhibit toxic behavior or, get mad at somebody just so that they can respond. Well, guys, we're winding down. I thank you for your contribution today. I thank you for joining us here at the Festival of Storytellers. My name is Ebony Wallace, author of Even Birds Get Tired of Flying. You can grab the book below. Meet me back here next time in the author's booth. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye now.